Hey Vikings Nation, what's going on? Purple and gold faithful, buckle up, because today's Minnesota Vikings news hits close to home and might change how you see the future of this franchise. There's a storm brewing around the quarterback room, and a familiar voice just spoke up loud and clear. Here's the teaser that should grab you instantly. A former Vikings captain believes the team made a huge mistake last season, not a small error. A franchise-shaping decision that may have set the offense back when the window to win was wide open. And when that voice belongs to Kyle Rudolph, a guy who lived it in that locker room and battled in the NFC North for years, you know this conversation deserves your full attention. Kyle Rudolph didn't hold back when talking about how the Vikings handled the QB situation. He questioned the decision to hand the offense straight to McCarthy without a veteran quarterback there to truly compete or guide him. According to Rudolph, this wasn't about doubting JJ's talent. It was about protecting a young quarterback and maximizing a Super Bowl-caliber roster that was ready to win right now. As Vikings fans, ask yourself this. Did Minnesota put too much pressure on a rookie by giving him the keys with no safety net behind him? The criticism has only grown louder as the season unfolded. McCarthy's first year as the Vikings starting quarterback was a roller coaster filled with flashes of potential and moments that left fans uneasy. Week after week, the offense struggled to find consistency, and questions about development, confidence, and leadership kept surfacing across Minnesota Vikings news. And now, that frustration stings even more when you look across the league and see what could have been. Here's the twist that hurts the most. Former Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold is now leading the Seattle Seahawks to the NFC Championship game. Let that sink in for a second. Darnold, a guy who was once in Minnesota's orbit, is playing meaningful January football while the Vikings are watching from home. That reality adds fuel to the fire and gives weight to Rudolph's argument that the Vikings had better options on the table. Speaking on Up and Adams with K. Adams, Rudolph was crystal clear. He said the Vikings made a big mistake by not bringing in a veteran to compete with McCarthy. He pointed out that there were real options available, including one who is literally playing this weekend in the NFC Championship game. Rudolph also mentioned Daniel Jones, who was in the locker room last year, a quarterback he openly admires and believes could have pushed McCarthy in the right way. This isn't about benching McCarthy forever. Rudolph emphasized that point strongly, and it matters for how we view the future of the Minnesota Vikings. In his eyes, JJ can still absolutely be the quarterback of the future. The problem was the approach, not the player. Handing him a Super Bowl-ready roster and saying go for it, without veteran competition may have done more harm than good. Head coach Kevin O'Connell and general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah haven't committed to McCarthy as the unquestioned starter moving forward. That silence speaks volumes. It tells us the Vikings themselves know the situation isn't settled and that this offseason could bring real changes to the quarterback room. Rudolph believes the solution is simple. Bring in a veteran and let the best quarterback win the job. To explain his thinking, Rudolph pointed to the Vikings' biggest rival, the Green Bay Packers. And yes, this comparison hurts, but it's also hard to ignore. From Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, Green Bay mastered the art of quarterback transitions. They never rushed the process, and they always protected their future with competition and patience. Rudolph said Vikings fans have lived through 2 decades of that reality in the NFC North. Stability at quarterback builds dynasties. He believes the Vikings organization understands they are built to win right now, and that reality should shape their decisions. The message is clear. Competition doesn't kill confidence. Creates greatness. Rudolph floated the idea of a veteran quarterback on a 1-year deal. A proven player, maybe someone looking for a new home, willing to compete and push McCarthy every single day. That kind of environment, according to Rudolph, is how you get the best out of a young quarterback. And it's how you set the Minnesota Vikings up for success not just now, but in 2026 and beyond. Naturally, speculation is everywhere. Minnesota Vikings news is buzzing with potential names that could shake up the offseason. Trade rumors have included quarterbacks like Mac Jones or even Kyler Murray, depending on how aggressive the front office wants to be. There's also the shadow of last spring's Aaron Rodgers rumors, which refuses to fully disappear. When asked directly about potential fits, Rudolph didn't dismiss the speculation. In fact, he leaned into it. He mentioned Mac Jones as a name that makes sense, a quarterback who has played meaningful football and could benefit from Kevin O'Connell's system. And then came the big one, Aaron Rodgers. Rudolph suggested that if Rodgers wanted one last run with an incredibly talented roster, in a division he knows better than anyone, Minnesota would make sense. He emphasized something Vikings fans already believe. Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer. Rudolph said there's no better place for a veteran quarterback trying to revitalize their career than with KOC calling plays. He even mentioned a name like Tua Tagovailoa, if he were to ever hit the market, as someone who could thrive in Minnesota. One name, however, was shut down quickly: Kirk Cousins. Rudolph admitted that while Kirk would make sense on paper, he doesn't see a realistic path for a reunion. Cousins is under contract in Atlanta, and the Falcons were willing to pay him massive money, even as a backup, to keep him there. So where does all of this leave the Minnesota Vikings? At a crossroads, a moment that could define the next decade of football in Minnesota. Do they double down on J.J. McCarthy alone? Or do they bring in real competition to elevate the entire offense? Kyle Rudolph believes the answer is clear, and his words have ignited a debate Vikings fans won't stop talking about. Now I want to hear from you, Vikings Nation. Do you agree with Kyle Rudolph? Should the Vikings bring in a veteran quarterback to compete with J.J. McCarthy? Who would you want to see wearing purple next season? Mac Jones, Aaron Rodgers, or someone else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if you love Minnesota Vikings news. Subscribe for daily Vikings updates. And share this video with every Vikings fan you know. Skol forever.